welcome back to C2 Novel and Vocab Week 17. This video is for our novel. In this video, we'll be going over difficult phrases from our novel, and this is to help with your cultural fluency. By becoming familiarized with different slang and colloquialisms, students will be able to relate to the novel and incorporate these phrases to convey their ideas more precisely. So what does that mean? It basically means we're going to choose some phrases here so that you can understand the book better, but then also use these phrases when you're speaking or even writing. This video will be going over the Lemonade War, and these are our final chapters, chapters 13 to 14. So if you don't already, please go ahead and get your novel book so that you can turn to the pages and read with me. First, everyone please turn to page 155. 155. Let me open my book. It's the first page of chapter 13. And we're going to start from the very beginning of the chapter, okay? Everybody ready? Good. It says, Sucker, oh man, you were schooled. Preschool, baby. What does that mean? We don't even know what's happening right now. But if you read on, you'll learn that they're playing basketball. Here, oh man, you were schooled. Preschool. What does that mean? School in this context means that you were outperformed or beaten, usually in a competitive way like sports or in a game. Here, when they're saying preschool, it's saying as a playful exaggeration. Preschool refers to, school before you go to school, like before kindergarten, meaning that the loss here was so bad that it was as if the person had no experience or was a beginner, as if you were being in preschool. The term here, schooled, doesn't mean the actual school building, but here it comes from the idea of being taught a lesson, often in a humbling way. Adding preschool makes it a big joke, implying that the person is so bad at what they're doing that it's not even for regular schooling. You need to go to school with the babies in preschool. So why is this phrase used? It's used in sports or games to mock someone for being defeated badly. So say that you were playing soccer with a friend and then the score was 3-0. You can say, wow, we schooled you, meaning we taught you a lesson. You guys were no competitor to us. So 3-0, because the other team scored none at all, they were schooled. But say that the score was 10-0. Then they would say, wow, you were preschooled. Basically making fun of someone who didn't do so well at a sport. It could be any sport or any competition. But is this a nice thing to say? No, not really. So that is what it means here. It doesn't mean that you're in school and you learn some math, but you're schooled as a verb and that you're taught a lesson at something. Now, continuing on page 155, we're going to read from where we just left off, okay? It says, for the third time that afternoon, Scott Spencer had gotten the drop on Evan, dribbling around him and then hitting the easy layup. So the guys were giving him the business, even the ones on his own team. What does it mean here, gotten the drop on? Gotten the drop on means getting an advantage over someone by being quicker, smarter, or even catching them off guard. The phrase comes from the idea of having a head start or getting the first move in a competition. Like in an old Western movie where someone might get the drop with a quicker draw of their gun. But why is this phrase used? It describes someone being outplayed or outsmarted before they could even react. So basically here, Scott Spencer was so good at basketball, he had gotten the drop on Evan. He kept doing so much better than him. And if you didn't know what a layup was, it says dribbling around him and then hitting the easy layup. Let's look at this video. He was dribbling, and then easy layup. That is a layup in basketball when you go closer to the basket and then you put one in very easily. And he kept doing this to Evan. So Evan had gotten the drop on him. So meaning Scott Spencer was just doing so many tricks around him and dribbling all over him, and Evan was so dizzy he didn't know what was going on because Scott Spencer was so much better at basketball than he was. That's why in our phrase before, they said that he was schooled and that he was pre-schooled. Let's go to page 164. Oh no, this looks kind of violent here, as you can see from my pictures. 164. Let's start from the very top, okay? Everybody there? It says, in a real war, you fight. You fight with your hands and with weapons. You fight with anything you've got because it's a matter of life and death. Jessie felt the loss of her hard-earned money like a death, and she ripped into Evan with all the power in her body. She punched him. She kicked him. She threw her lockbox at him. She wanted to tear him up into little pieces. So originally I was going to stop at where it says she ripped into Evan, but I wanted to give you a little bit of more context of what was happening here. So if we didn't read on, we wouldn't know, what does it mean she ripped into Evan? Did she rip a sheet of paper on Evan and throw it at him? We don't know. But as we continue reading the paragraph, we see that she punched him, kicked him, threw a lockbox at him. Woo, violent scene. But what does it mean here, ripped into? Ripped into means to scold or criticize someone harshly, often out of anger or frustration. The phrase paints a picture of Jessie attacking Evan and almost tearing into them. So why was this phrase used? It was used to emphasize Jessie's strong emotions, showing how upset she was in the moment because Evan said that he had lost all the money. So she ripped into him. She punched him. She kicked him. She was showing all of her anger. So next time, maybe if you're so angry, you're tempted to rip into someone, I hope that you wouldn't, so you won't be violent. But that's what this means here. Rip into. So it doesn't mean to rip paper, but to rip into punch, punch, punch. And we're on page 165 at the very top. Okay? Let's go and read from the top. It says, but he never once tried to hit her back. He was done fighting. Finally, Jessie ran out of gas. She lay down on the bed and tried to make her brain work. Her body was so worn out that her brain felt like the only part of her that could work. So, to run out of gas. As you know, when we're driving, you can run out of gas, meaning then the car would stop. So what do you think this means here when Jessie ran out of gas? Ran out of gas means to become too tired to keep going on, either physically or emotionally. And I believe here in this instance, Jessie was, physically and emotionally too tired. This phrase comes how cars run on fuel, as you can see here. We need gas for our cars, which causes them to stop if we don't have any more. It's often used to describe exhaustion and being super tired. It shows that Jessie's anger and energy were used all up as she was fighting and punching and kicking Evan. So here you can say Jessie ran out of gas after punching and kicking Evan. Or what is another time that you can use this phrase? You can say, oh, I ran out of gas last night. I was so tired from studying, I fell asleep at my desk. Yikes. Or you can say, oh, after the long run, I ran out of gas and I fell on the floor. Or on the ground. You can say either one. So, to run out of gas. When's the time that you have run out of gas before? Maybe it was just yesterday and then you fell asleep on your bed. Let's go to page 172. And unfortunately, this is our last one for this book already. Page 172. There weren't many that I could choose here. I'm going to start from the very top of page 172. Are you ready? Where? I don't see them, said Jessie. All of a sudden, the sky split in two as lightning sliced the night. An explosion of thunder rolled through the house, rattling the windows and pictures on the walls. Rain poured from the sky as if a gigantic faucet had been twisted on. Yow! Shouted Mrs. Chesky, leaping up from the step. Battle stations! What does it mean here, battle stations? Let me read a little bit more. It says, every window in the house was wide open. So, Evan, Jessie, and Mrs. Chesky ran from the top floor to the bottom, shutting the windows and sopping up puddles. So here, what does it mean when she says, battle stations? Battle stations is a phrase to prepare for a challenge or an urgent situation, often borrowed from military language from war. It means everyone should get ready and be alert. So this term comes from the naval and military commands where soldiers or sailors were told to go to their designated posts and prepare for an attack or a battle. So say that this person in war had to go up front. If they say battle stations, you have to hurry up and run to where you're supposed to be and get ready to fight. Okay, but why did Mrs. Chesky use this phrase here, battle stations? Here, because it started raining a lot and all of their windows were open, Mrs. Chesky said battle stations so that Evan and Jessie and herself would go and get ready for the rain and close all the windows so that none of the rain would come into the house. So, when can we use this phrase? We can use this phrase anytime when we're playing with our friends. Say that we're playing hide and seek, right? And right before we start, the person who's it has to count, right? And everyone would say, battle stations! And everybody would run over to where they needed to hide. Or say that it was time for a group project. And you would say, all right, everyone, let's get to your battle stations. And everyone would have to go ahead and do what they needed to do for the project. It's just a fun way of saying, get ready. And that's it for our video today. Mission. How much money did Megan, Evan, and Jessie make at the end of the book? And what did they use all their money for? Remember to write your name, class, and week. Thank you so much for writing your week, everyone. I'm so glad people are starting to write down the week number. It helps me a lot organizing your missions. So now, it is time for you to review and self-study. Go ahead and review all of the phrases again. There weren't that many. There's only 5. Read it out loud. Reread the novel where the phrases came from. Or, since it's just 2 chapters, why don't you just reread both chapters before class? And then go ahead and complete your novel homework. I can't believe we finished another book this semester. This semester is going by so quickly, isn't it? We only have one more novel left after this, and I'm excited to do it with you through these videos. Always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye!